I love water-type Pokemon. Well, some of them. Now, there are a lot of water Pokemon, and we got a lot of new ones in Generation 3, and I'm going to count them down. Now, I am not putting Surskit or Castform on this list. Surskit's evolution, Masquerain, is no longer a water type, and Castform is only a water type in one of its forms. So that leaves 13 water Pokemon in Generation 3. I will count down all 13 of them from worst to best. Now, let's start the show. I bet you all know who's at the bottom of the list, right? Yep, it's Luvdisc. Oh gosh, Luvdisc's move pool is terrible, and it has low HP, and its attack stats are downright awful. Well, at least it has good speed. But overall, it stinks. Next! Clamperl is not exactly the best water type of Generation 3, but it's not the worst either. It has some redeeming factors. Its shell can be used for protection, and when its body becomes too big, that means it's getting close to evolving. Speaking of evolving, its evolution concept is pretty interesting. Both of its evolutions have great defense and special attack, but low HP and speed. If you trade it with a deep sea scale, it becomes Gorbis, whose body can withstand high water pressure at incredible depths. Its mouth is so thin it can eat seaweed that grows between rocks. But if you choose to trade Clamperl with Deep Sea Tooth, then it becomes Huntail. The reason it didn't show up until Generation 3 was because it lives at extreme depths in the sea. Its eyes can help it see in the pitch-black depths of the ocean, and its spine helps it withstand the pressure of the sea. Its tail can light up too. That's pretty good! Relicanth is a decent Pokemon. Yeah, it's another water rock type with slow speed and bad special stats. At least it has high HP, as well as good attack and defense. And just wow. To think, it lived 1,000,000 years without changing its form. It was discovered in the deep sea explorations, and, just like Gorbis, its body can take the massive water pressure of the ocean depths. This Pokemon is also used to help you find the 3 golems of this generation, where you need this thing with you in a certain slot depending on if you're playing Ruby, Sapphire, or Emerald. But you know what's weird? Even though it lived during prehistoric times, it's not a fossilized Pokemon. Instead, Credillion or Armaldo are the fossilized Pokemon, which are better because of their stats and because of their typings, which aren't as overdone. But this is a list about water Pokemon, not rock, grass, or bug Pokemon, so let's move on. Corphish was originally a foreign Pokemon that was imported as a pet, but then turned up in the wild. It greatly increases population, and it can eat any kind of food. It can survive in any environment, even if its environment is really filthy water. Then it evolves into Crawdaunt, the Hoenn version of Kingler. With amazing attack power, this thing loves to battle. And that is what makes these two so cool. What can I say about Carvanha? I mean, look at it. Doesn't it look awesome? Now both this and its evolution Sharpedo are Team Aqua's main Pokemon. It's no wonder why. Even before it evolves into Sharpedo, its attack power is so great, it can even rip out bolt holes. Then when it evolves into Sharpedo, it becomes much faster. Its ability is also pretty rare, letting opponents get hurt if they make physical contact with it. Yes, I know, Druddigon has the same ability, but Druddigon is not really good compared to the other dragons, thanks to its space stat total. Sharpedo is still awesome. If this Pokemon's fangs somehow snap off, they regenerate instantly. It can tear apart a super tanker and crunch through iron. No wonder people fear this Pokemon. Crawdaunt may have better stats, but Sharpedo is at least unique, being a shark. Barboach and Whiscash are both pretty interesting. Barboach uses its whiskers like a radar system and can slip away from enemies if they grab it. Some people say that it was born from hardened mud. Its evolution, Whiscash, has dangerously high HP and the same base stat total as Crawdaunt. It can claim a large pond as its exclusive territory and trigger a massive earthquake that can go over a radius of 3 miles. It also predicts when a real earthquake will happen. Anyone remember Future Sight? And you know what's really creative? Barboach is a shrimp that evolves into a catfish. Where does Game Freak get these ideas? Now, here's a quiz question. Remember the Autarch's worst Pokemon list? Where do you say that Finneon and Lumineon should be fed to?
Seagulls! Mine?
What is a seagull in the Pokemon world? Wingull, of course. Its speed is good, and it can soar to great heights with the help of updrafts. As for its evolution Pelipper, it may lose some speed, but despite its looks, its defense powers are big. It can carry a small Pokemon and eggs in its gigantic beak. Now we're getting into the really awesome water Pokemon. Wailmer has pretty good stats. Well, for a first evolution anyways. It can store water in its body to turn into a ball, and believe it or not, the more water it holds, the higher it bounces. It can also survive on land, but not for long. Its evolution, Wailord, is just amazing. It has the highest HP out of any water Pokemon in existence. And wanna know what's also awesome? It is also the biggest Pokemon ever, even putting Steelix to shame. Seriously, look at the size of this thing! And just like Relicanth, it is used to help you find the 3 golems of this generation. It's also an amazing sight to see it leap out of the water with others and leave a huge splash in the water. In your face, Meryl! That's not all. Being the whale Pokemon that it is, it can dive 10,000 feet beneath the sea in one breath. Wailord, I love you. Feebas and Milotic. Feebas is the rarest Pokemon in existence. It is only found in a few spots in the sea, and it literally took me 3 years to find. Many consider it to be the ugliest Pokemon ever, even though I don't find it that ugly, though I understand where everyone's coming from. Though I'll admit, Feebas does look hilarious, and it's better than Magikarp. Well, at least in terms of battle, because it can actually learn TM and HM moves. It can live in both sea and rivers, no matter how polluted it is. And its evolution style in generations 3 and 4 are unique. To evolve it, you max out its beauty, and then level it up to evolve it into Milotic, one of the most beautiful Pokemon ever. To think, a Pokemon that is considered ugly evolves into something beautiful. Now, I might sound crazy, but this is just my theory. The fact that Feebas is considered to be ugly but evolves into a beautiful Milotic might be a reference to that phrase in the movie Beauty and the Beast, where you should not be deceived by appearances, for beauty is found within. Also, Milotic's stats are great except for its physical stats. And it's so beautiful it can make enemies who are fighting forget their differences. It's been shown in paintings and statues. Its ability Marvel Scale is also unique, as long as you don't count Dratini and Dragonair into the mix because they only learn it through Dreamworld. Marvel Scale raises Milotic's defense stat if it has a stat condition. Wow! Some people say that Lotad, Lombre, and Ludicolo are lame. Well, I personally disagree. I might understand where they're coming from, but I still like them. All 3 of them have unique typings, being water and grass. And wanna know what is really interesting? That's also the only current typing that is 2 of the 3 starter Pokemon types, grass, fire, and water. Lotad can use its lily pad to carry small Pokemon that can't swim across ponds. Then it evolves into Lombre, and then into Ludicolo, where it has a great special defense stat. It's happy even in battle, and if it hears music, it becomes even more powerful. That's why I like these guys. Some of you are probably asking me right now, Do you like Mudkips? Why, yes I do, thanks for asking. Yes, I know I used an overused internet reference, but anyways, Mudkip's fin acts as a sensitive radar that helps it determine what's happening around it even without using its eyes. It can lift and crush rocks bigger than itself too, because it has the highest attack out of any first evolution starter. Marshtomp, one of its evolutions, is enveloped by a thin, sticky film letting it live on land. Its legs are sturdy that allow it to stand in mud. In fact, it's even faster in mud than it is in water. And its final evolution, Swampert? Awesome! Like Itionobo 2 said in his top 15 starter Pokemon list, it has the highest base stat total out of every starter Pokemon. It can drag boulders that weigh more than a ton, see in murky waters, and predict storms by sensing differences in the sounds of waves and tidal waves with its fin. They can battle their foe down thanks to rock-hard arms and swim while towing a large pirate ship. Swampert is definitely a worthy Pokemon to have on your team. I love Spheal, Celio, and Walrein. Who doesn't? They may be a water-ice type, which was done a lot, but that doesn't matter to me because I don't know why, but there's something I love about water-ice Pokemon. Spheal, Celio, and Walrein can also have a triple resistant to ice types if they have the thick fat ability. Now let's talk about Spheal. This thing is just so cute, and thanks to its fluffy fur, it never feels the cold, even when rolling on ice or diving into cold waters. Celio likes to balance stuff on the tip of its nose, and can even balance and roll a Spheal on its nose. It can also do this to test for how something smells or feels. Its flippers can shatter ice. Let's talk about Walrein. Oh boy, this thing is epic! It has an amazing HP stat, and it can shatter blocks of ice weighing 10 tons in one blow of its tusks. Its thick coat of blubber can insulate it from its really cold temperatures. But that's not even the limit to how great a Generation 3 water Pokemon can be. Now, let's recap before number 1. Number 13, Luvdisc. Number 12, Clamperl. Number 11, Relicanth. Number 10, Corphish. Number 9, Carvanha. Number 8, Whiscash. Number 7, Wingull. Number 6, Wailord. Number 5, Milotic. Number 4, Lombre. Number 3, Number 2, Walrein. Come on, people. Don't tell me you saw my greatest Pokemon list, remember the number 1 Pokemon from the top of your head, and still didn't expect Kyogre to be number 1. But even if you didn't, then you probably would have guessed that Kyogre would be number 1. Look at this thing. Doesn't it look amazing? I already covered this in my favorite Pokemon list, but it can create massive rain clouds that cover the entire sky and bring massive downpours. It has saved many people from suffering from droughts. It is also rumored to have been the creator of the sea, well, at least in the Pokemon world. And it can control water. Sorcerer's Apprentice, anyone? I also love this thing because it's the only non-ice type that can learn Sheer Cold. It's tied with Mantine for the highest special defense out of all water Pokemon. It's also tied with Palkia for the highest special attack out of any water Pokemon. Its Drizzle ability is also unique as long as you don't count Politoed, but even if you do, Kyogre still has much better stats, and Politoed could also not have this ability until Generation 5, and even then it's Politoed's secret ability. If you get hit by even one Hydro Pump from Kyogre, you are messed up. Come on, 150 special attack, a water move with the power of 120 with the same type attack bonus, and powered up by the rain? Even for a legendary, that is completely awesome! I love this thing so much! Kyogre's worst stats are its defense and speed, and even then, they're not too bad. After this thing was awoken in Pokemon Sapphire, it brought a massive downpour that nearly flooded the world until the main character captured it. It was also the mascot of Pokemon Sapphire, the first Pokemon game I ever played, and that's why Kyogre is special to me. It was also my best Pokemon for 4 years. Now Arceus is my best Pokemon, but it's overrated. It's still cool, but this is a list of Generation 3 water types. and Arceus is only a water type 1/17 of the time, and it's not even of Generation 3, it's from Generation 4. Kyogre is a water type 100% of the time, unless you use Kecleon skill swap with it, but that's besides the point. Kyogre is the best water Pokemon of Generation 3. No, Kyogre is the best water Pokemon ever. Yep, even though Palkia has better stats, I still like Kyogre more. In fact, Kyogre is my favorite Pokemon ever. It's been my favorite Pokemon for 9 years, and it still is. I am at 5-7 the second, and I say whatever you do not mess with Kyogre.
Do you like Mudkip?